Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing? Sure, all the audio is running this time. Glad you can be here watching this video. Happy Cinco de Mayo, right? Or Return of the Fifth, however you want to put it. Maybe have a margarita today afterwards, after this live stream. Maybe after 2 p.m. possibly, I don't know. Thank you for joining me here on the show version live stream. I've been going live past 6 days. This is day 6, doing it for 7 days at 7 a.m. Pacific time. And I'm just making sure so it looks like my audio is going. Thanks, Mike, for chiming in there. Good morning to you too. It is a lovely morning today. I feel pretty good. Got some good rest after thinking about this lab that I'm doing today because it started bothering me when I couldn't do certain things the day before on the live stream. And so I'm doing these live streams as a way to get out of my comfort zone, do something different, and get the day going very good, right? Start off strong and finish strong. And so today I'm continuing my journey with Junos, and what we're going to do is fix some of the issues that I couldn't resolve yesterday on the live stream, which was setting up the in-band management of the Juniper switch, which I have here. And so we have our Juniper switch there. We have a VLAN pi sitting on top of it, which is the thing with the orange on it. It's connected to port number 2. I've got my uplink port connected to port 11 right here. And then this is just powering up the VLAN pi via USB. So you could probably plug in your phone and charge it as well. And I am logged in through console. That's my Star Wars Lego in the back that I need to work on. I haven't done it yet. But how are you guys doing? How are you doing, Mike? And what coffee are you drinking? I actually blended 2 coffees together to see how that would work. Okay. So to recap from yesterday as we wait for this chat delay, we've got a Juniper EX2300C. It's a compact switch. It's a 12-port switch with 2 SFP ports that I'm not using, a management port, which sits right here, and then I've also got a console port right there. All right. And so yesterday, I made an attempt to configure the management IP address. I did not want to use a dedicated management port just because it wasn't, I didn't want to use another Ethernet adapter to connect to, another Ethernet cable to plug into a switch. And so I wanted to set up the in-band management instead using a VLAN, like a virtual interface as we've configured with Cisco IOS. And Mike, yes, you're drinking Starbucks blonde roast. Yes, that's a pretty good roast. I always go straight black at Starbucks, just get the whatever they're roasting that day, and get black coffee. That's all I drink. I can't do the mixed with all the cream and dairy in there anymore. All right. So upon looking at this yesterday, the proper way for the virtual interface is to use what's called an IRB, or integrated routing and bridging. So it's similar to creating a virtual interface on a Cisco switch. And so what we do is assign that to our management VLAN. So what I'm going to do here is show my screen. There you go. And I'm back here. I got to actually show some configuration. We'll use the set commands. All right. I could have done a match to just show you that I have these interfaces. I tried setting this up yesterday, so we'll try to finish this here. All right, so what I like about Junos is doing, say, a show configuration and do a match on something, and you could do GE000, anything with, actually you should do like a display set at the end. And there you go, that's all the configurations for that, right? So I'll zoom in on this so you guys can see what I'm working with. I'm gonna reframe some of my windows here. We'll zoom in more. Hopefully that looks more readable. And everything will fit on the screen. All right. So what we want to do is create an IRB interface and assign an IP address to that, and then link it to a layer 2 VLAN. All right. So the first thing we need to do is create the interface. So I'll go into configure. I've got all this here, so I don't know how to clear this up, and it's because I've logged out, logged in, or lost my session. So now there's, I've got 2 sessions open. I'm sure there's a way to clear that, and they've been idle for a very long time because I've just kept this console session open. So the first thing I'm going to do is create an IRB interface in integrated routing and bridging. IRB, so interface is IRB. And we always have to use units, right? So unit 0 is kind of the first unit that you could use. Because I have VLAN 103 set up, I'll show you here. Show VLANs, I think. I'm trying to figure out how to show this. All right, well, run show VLANs. Oh, there you go. So here it is. I want to put the management on this VLAN, which I've defined as switch management net on VLAN 103. So we'll do set interfaces IRB. And instead of unit 0, I'm going to call it unit 103. And I'm starting to get my allergies again. So then we got to define the family INET, which is IPv4. Then we'll type in address and then the IP address. So I do want to show you that. Let's do some pings here, that it is not working at the moment, right? So we'll do 172.16.103.250/24. Then from there, we got to link this to the VLAN 103. So we do set VLAN switch management net, which is VLAN 103, L3 interface, and we then put in the IRB interface, which is IRB.103, and hit enter. Okay, so far so good. And then usually you would be done with that, right? But obviously we still cannot ping what's going on here. So what we do is, because I am on a different network, right? So if I do show ifconfig, we can see that, oh geez, I'm pretty sure I have a 192 address. There it is. One of these. 115, I believe. I'm on wired and wireless on my Mac. So I'm on a different network, and I can't ping my switch. And that's because I don't have a default gateway set up. So now we need to configure that default gateway on the switch. And it's different from iOS, where we're not typing IP default gateway. We actually have to type in set routing options and set a static route, leaving this switch to the gateway, which is 172.16.103. Oh, actually, no. See, my Cisco iOS is getting me. You actually have to then, so a route to anything that's out of this network, the next dash hop, and then the IP address, and hit enter. Right. So if we remember with Junos that when we're making these changes, we're making them to the candidate configuration, not the running configuration. So that's why I cannot still ping my switch from my computer here. And so what we're going to do is a commit check. We're going to make sure everything checks out. All right, that's pretty good. I'm going to do a commit confirmed. Let's do 2 minutes. All right, so we should then see this work. All right, configuration checks succeed. And look, I can now ping my Juniper switch. But if I don't commit this configuration, it'll be rolled back in 2 minutes. So that's actually very good, right? So now we can ping. All right. Woo! Wasn't able to do that yesterday and ended up figuring it out, looking at Juniper documentation on how to make this work. So now we'll do a commit. We'll save that. We no longer need to keep pinging because we can reach it. And that's great. So now what I want to do is SSH, right? So if I look at show configuration match users, that didn't do anything. Match login. Yeah, there you go. Match login. Oh, it was just user without the S. I got 2 logins here, me, Rowell, and I created a login called Dave yesterday with the read only. So we can ping, but can we SSH to this? We can try. All right. So let's try. 172.16.103.250. All right. Oh, must have messed up my password. And it looks like I can. And so why is it that I can, right? Because you actually have to enable the system. So if you do show configuration match SSH, I have it enabled. So commit, you have a question, Mike, here. Commit is kind of like copy, run, start, but it isn't live until you do so. That is correct. So once you commit, you are moving the configuration from the candidate configuration data store, and then that puts that configuration live onto the running config. So then it makes it live. And so that's why you do the commit confirmed. So if you've maybe screwed up, you want to be sure you can back out those changes, commit confirmed, and then a number indicating with minutes. That will roll back those changes if you don't then go back and just type in commit. Right. So if we look here, let me exit out of this. So I'm doing a split screen here where I've got half of my terminal showing just the command line interface, and the left half is showing my Juniper switch. So if I do show configuration, display set, let's look at this, because there's some set system commands right here, which I already, because I'm in console, right here, set services SSH. I've already enabled it. And so what I could show you is, and I'll remove the NetConf one for when we go into the next lab. If we hit configure and then do a delete system services SSH, delete system services NetConf. So here we do again, commit check. We'll check the syntax of your configuration. It succeeds. And so we have different levels of commit, and commit will just put that, I don't like how this is looking. If you just hit commit and enter, it just saves it to the running config. If you want to do commit confirmed, here's the confirmed option right here, and it will automatically roll back if not confirmed. And by confirming it, you just hit commit. So if we do commit confirm, like let's say I was making these modifications and I didn't know what that command I just entered did, I'll do a commit confirm 2 for 2 minutes. It's going to then go ahead and commit that with the option of rolling back if not confirmed. All right. So commit confirm. Well, let me roll back. It's commit is complete. And so every time I'm in this edit mode, it'll say roll back in 2 minutes. Now, if I do an SSH again, I can't do it. It's refuse. It's like, oh no, I've locked myself out of this switch. Like the horror, right? I'm in the West Coast. The switch is on the East Coast. How are you gonna get this fixed? Well, I've done a rollback, so if we just wait 2 minutes, it'll solve that problem. So we'll just hit commit for now, and I will re-enable the interface, but I want to leave the netconf disabled. And so what we do here, so we can see that it's still unable to SSH into there. So we go back, it's a system command under services, SSH, and we're enabling it. Now, if you hit question mark, there's a whole lot of other options. But in doing this, when you hit commit, you actually then save this. Let's see. It'll start doing, well, when I did it yesterday, it started showing all of the configurations to do the certificates, which is, it's already done it, so it's not going to show it here. But now I can SSH back into this switch. Fantastic. So that's the big issue that I ran into yesterday, which I couldn't do the management port or management interface on this switch here. And now we're able to do that with sending up IRB and associating that to a layer 2 VLAN, which I've associated to VLAN 103, which is show run VLANs. And you know, I don't need this window anymore. Show run VLANs, and I've associated that IRB to switch management net. So if we do, let's do show interfaces. Oh, I think that's gonna be long. Is there a brief? Or let's see. IRB. We want to do that. Show run interfaces IRB.103. So there you can see the logical interface, 1 gigabit per second. Here's the IP address that it's assigned to. Pretty cool, right? That's neat. Is there any other detail we can get out of here? We can do detail. So you get some traffic statistics out of that. That's great. There's also, I think, extensive, which shows you even more detail. And let's see what else we've got here. Display terse output. Sure. So that's a good way to see it. It's admin up, link is up, protocol is IPv4, and that's our local address. Great. So what I do want to show you is it is connected, uplinked to my Cisco switch right here on an Ethernet port. So, oh, shoot. Always forget to share. Let me do that again. So what we do here, I was showing show run interfaces, but I wanted to show the IRB interface. And so if we do show run interfaces IRB, we get some detail out of that, including what the IP address is. If you wanted to see some detail, you could do show run interfaces, or because I'm in this mode right here, I'm going to do run show interfaces IRB.103 detail. And it gives me a lot more information, right? So now we've got some traffic statistics. And then I wanted to see what the difference is if I did, instead of detail, I did extensive. And right off the bat, I don't know what the difference is with that. And then just to see, status of this IRB interface, run show interfaces, excuse me, IRB.103 terse, and we could see that its admin state is up, the link is up, IPv4 protocol, which is INET, and its IP address. And then I wanted to do run show LLDP neighbors to show that the Juniper switch is uplinked on this port to my Cisco switch on this port. And so there we have it. All right. The other thing that I was trying to figure out with Junos is I've got an interface here, right? So if I do show, can I do show configuration? Yep. Run show configuration interfaces GE 0/0/0. So I've got my first port on the Juniper switch, this one right here. I've got that set up as an access port with just a VLAN member of 140. What if I had a phone connected to this? And so I was trying to figure out, okay, how do I set up a voice VLAN? And if I do show run show configuration VLANs, I've got VLAN 129 defined as a VoIP net. And so I was doing some research on Juniper. I couldn't really find an easy way to do this. And I'm confused by it because this is what I thought is supposed to be. So here set, we run switch. So we're going to configure the voice VLAN, set switch dash options, VoIP. Right? So if we look at what's there, in here, the switch options, we have voice over IP configuration. And then what is the command? Then we do the interface. So enable voice over IP on this port. Interface GE 0/0/0. And then you got to define what that VLAN is. So you can do the name or the VLAN number. All right. So I'm pretty sure that's it. Then we got to enable that QoS settings to it, which is, again, switch options, VoIP, and then interface GE 0/0/0, forwarding class assured forwarding. All right. So we'll do a commit check on that, and then we can look at the configuration. Checks out. That's good. I'll just hit commit. I got nothing on that port. But I do want to see what the configuration looks like if we look at that interface. So we do run show configuration GE 00/0. Oh, I need interfaces in front of that. See, I don't see it in that interfaces GE, which is weird to me, right? Like I would have thought I'd see it in there, and I want to pipe this and maybe do a display, I don't know, set. So I still don't see it there, right? So that's where I got confused where, okay, if I wanted to show all the configuration on that interface, how would I know that there's a voice VLAN configured? And did I do it right? So I don't have a phone to test out, but I'm going to assume that that's the way you do it. So if we do show configuration again and display set, and maybe just match on anything with that interface, we should see it. So here we see the set interfaces, and then down below here we see the VoIP configuration for that. So in my mind, I was thinking you would do set interfaces, and somehow after unit 0 family Ethernet switching, I would say VoIP VLAN 129, for example. I don't know. Maybe you do. We could. I thought I looked at this, but if you do show set interfaces GE 0/0/0 unit 0 family Ethernet switching, there is no VoIP set up there. And if I just did VLAN members 129, that would just make it an access port on VLAN 129, and not necessarily know the switch wouldn't know that if you plugged in a phone, it should put the voice. The phone portion on the voice VLAN. So it wouldn't really know that, especially if you've got another device on the other end of that phone or on the switch of that phone. But that's what I looked at in order to set up voice. Hopefully that's correct, which are these two commands here, right? It's switch options, VoIP, and interface. So hopefully somebody knows if that's correct or not. But we'll see if I'll do some more research and see if that's it. All right, so now I want to look into configuring NetConf. I think this is the more exciting part for me because it's something different. Right? And I know using Junos is different for me, and I'm starting to pick up things, very basic Junos here that I'm doing. But what I want to do is actually do NetConf. And so by default, NetConf is not enabled, but I don't know, maybe we can try to check that. And so if we do SSH and yeah, Mike, I had the same problem trying to figure out how to do VoIP. And so it wasn't very clear to me. And that's what I found, but I just don't have a phone to test it out. All right, so we're going to test out NetConf real quick from my local computer to the switch. I don't have any other user set up with Superclass. So what we'll do is try to SSH, but we're going to use the subsystem of NetConf and see if it should work because it shouldn't work because NetConf is not enabled. But we'll see. I don't know. No, there's a subsystem request failed on channel 0 because we don't have NetConf enabled. So we'll go in here, go into configuration mode, and it's pretty simple to enable it. It's just set system services NetConf, and then you could define some other options here, which allow NetConf over SSH is what I want to do. So we just do SSH, and then you just hit enter, and that's pretty much it. So now if we do commit check, it'll look at that syntax. It should pass. The configuration check succeeds. Then we hit commit. And now we will test out NetConf. There you go. It's complete. I'll open up another pane here. Again, we'll do SSH my login account. We'll do -S for subsystem. And I want to see NetConf. Should ask for a password. And I'll type that in, hit enter. There you go. I got a hello from the switch under this session ID. And if we look at it, it just spewed out a bunch of stuff. I like this message here where it says no zombies were killed during the creation of this interface. Of this user interface. So it's telling me that I'm logged in under this user. This is my class. And then it just spit out a bunch of capabilities in XML. Now that's not the right way to do NetConf. That's actually unreadable and you can't do anything with that. And so let's go back to, what did I do? Let's go back to here, the Juniper switch, and I'm going to create a user for NetConf. So set system login, and then we want to create a user. We'll give it a username of NetConf, and we want to assign a class to this. So there is operator, read-only, super user, and unauthorized. For now, I'm going to give it super user. And then we want to do a authentication for the password, and we'll do a plain text password, and I'll just make it NetConf. Oh, it needs it to be a stronger password. All right, we'll just use password 1234. All right, and then we commit and quit. So we're just waiting for that to commit. It succeeds. So what I'll do now is SSH here again. Try to make this larger. NetConf at 172.16.103.250 subsystem. NetConf. Get a password prompt. And the reason for me creating this user account is this is the account I'm going to use for NetConf operations. So what we'll do is I'll try to create a script to query some of these capabilities here, right? We've got capabilities. But before we do that, I do want to show something else. If I resize my window here to fit. Okay. So one cool thing here, right? Now when I was looking into creating a script for this, I want to just do something simple, use NetConf operations, and it'll use RPC messages to grab configuration. I wanted to just grab, say, maybe all the logins, or all the logins on the switch as a simple example using a script. And what I was doing was looking at the XML output, trying to figure out what exactly I need to grab. But what's neat is if you do a show configuration, system login, and then do a display, and you know how we've been using display set, you can actually just do display XML. And so it's showing me exactly what I would use, right? So here we've got an RPC reply, configuration. So this is exactly what I need here. So we'll try to use that. All right, so we've got that enabled. And what I want to do now is create a script. So I'm going to head over to Atom. And I know what I want to use is NetConf client to make that connection to my switch. And so I've got this demo Python script. It's empty, so we're going to work on this. And so I want to work on with the NetConf client library. So we'll do NetConf from NetConf NC client. I'm going to import manager because that's what we're going to use to make our connection. Since we're dealing with XML output here, I'm going to import XML to dictionary. And then to parse XML as well, we're going to import something that's built into Python, xml.dom minidom. All right, so that's what we really need. I just saved the file. I've imported it. And so now we need to make this connection to the switch. And so what I've learned from looking at NetConf, let me see if I can pull this up on a web page. This is the GitHub page for NC client. So I'll open up some examples here. Let's do examples. Juniper, I guess. We'll just look at this command Juniper here. So you see this connect here from NC client. That's what I'm going to use. We're going to do a manager.connect, and we're going to put in our host parameters to make that connection. So I'll go back to here. We'll do, let me comment, connect to switch. And I'm going to use the with command, with manager.connect. And what this will do is, because I'm using with, it'll open up that connection, use the parameters, and then when it's done, after I send it what RPC message I want to send, it'll close that connection automatically. And so now we put in our host parameters. So the host is 172.16.103.250. I'll put a comma there because we got more details to add. We are using port 22 because we're using SSH. I didn't define another port for this for NetConf, but you can. Then comma, and then username. We'll use NetConf. Doing all this in single quotes. The password, we used a super strong password of password 1234. And then because we're using a private certificate, we want to type in this host key _ verify equals false, so it doesn't fail. And so you can see here, this is at the end of inside these parentheses. So there's no comma there. But here we're going to type as, for example, M, because I'm using manager. So then we're we're going to use all of these parameters as M, and I'm going to use that to create a variable called netconf reply. And then we're going to use M to do an operation, right? So the operation is going to be, and this is how I learned it early on. It's not dash. M underscore config. And then we can define what config, because there's different data stores. So we can do the source equals running and then use that. Okay. So now that we have that, we could print out what is contained in netconf reply. Print netconf reply. So I just want to see what that looks like. So I'll go back to terminal. I have this virtual environment set up. So we got to do source, or am I already in it? Source bin activate. There you go. So I'm in a virtual environment that I've created called demo. And what I want to run is Python 3. I have demo.py. Let's see if it works. Let's just see. Oh, there you go. So it spewed out everything, the whole configuration. All right. So that's cool. So now I want to go back and we need to parse out that configuration. And so I learned this pretty much the hard way, right? So I'll comment this out because print out raw XML, because that is, we can't really work with that. So we have to parse it and get exactly what we want. And so we're going to use this library, or no, this XML media. We're going to parse this, and then no, we're going to parse the word this. We're going to convert it to a dictionary so we can use it. So we can use this Python library to get what we need. All right. So what we need to do then is call. We'll use that reply. We'll just call it netconf data. I'm partly using a script that I've used with another lab, but this one's slightly different because now we're going to, because of the way we're going to try to get the information. It didn't work quite as I wanted with Junos. It's a little bit different. So I had to read documentation and look at how to parse this. So we'll do XML to dictionary, and we want to parse that netconf reply, and we'll do .xml. But for what I do want to do, I think I should have left the output here to show you, is at the top, we need to take like this RPC reply, that's the root, and then the data that's contained, which the configuration is in it. And so we need to do the namespace for that. Oops. Which ends up being NC RPC reply, and then data, NC:data. So then we should be able to see something there. We'll print that out just to confirm that what I'm saying actually works. If not, we'll figure this out on the fly. So that didn't work. Oh, you know why? Because I'm pulling it differently. How was I doing this before? Oh, because I'm just pulling the full running config. The way I did this before is I was filtering this. So it says here, there is no key NC reply. All right, so let's go back to, I think we do want to parse it. So let's see. So this is where I had the struggle before. Trying to figure this out the hard way. I think what I did was set up a filter in the beginning So we could use netconf filters. So let's try that. Because all I wanted to do was get the logins. Because instead I got all the data. So I'm going to create a netconf filter for logins. And then I will call it netconf login filter. And we want to define what that is. And so we'll do a filter. And this is what I learned trying to create this filter, is that it's a type of subtree. We have to put that in there. And then when you're looking at the output, okay, let's see if I can get there. We want to look for login, right? So we're going to filter on this in the data configuration, system, and then login. Like that's how we're going to filter out down to just displaying the users. So I'll go back here. We do configuration, system, and then login. And then we have to remember to close out those elements. And then close out the filter. Okay, so hopefully this works. Let's see. And then this filter gets applied down here where I'm grabbing the source running config, and then I'll do comma filter equals netconf login filter. Let's hope that works. I will comment this out for now. If we just get nothing back, it should work, right? Let's see. Learning this on the fly. All right, so that's good. So now if we uncomment that, netconf reply, we should get something. So if you can see, instead of the whole running config, it's actually just given me an RPC reply of saying, hey, here's the data. In the data, we've got a configuration, and it's filtered all the way down to just the logins under the system, which is what we want, right? It's more efficient this way rather than grabbing the whole configuration. You might have a device that's got a lot of configuration, so it might take a while to grab it all, but with the filter, you just grab just exactly what you need. So now we can uncomment this print statement, and maybe we could parse this data, netconf data. So we use the filter, netconf data, and in that, the result would be XML to dictionary parse this file, this netconf reply. All right, I think that's what I want to do. Let's see what it, oh, but I don't know what I'm parsing yet. I don't know, let's just see what happens. Will it work? So I'm just going to see if it gives me an output. I think that worked. So now I'll add a print statement, netconf data. All right, that's actually good. So I was able to parse the output of just the netconf filter. And so what I've done with XML to dictionary is I've taken that this library will take the XML and change it into something Python can manipulate. So it's put it from XML into an ordered dictionary, as you can see here. And so what I ended up doing was going, all right, how do I just get exactly what I need out of this? Because we've got an ordered dictionary. And the first entry here is RPC reply. And then within RPC reply is another ordered dictionary, which then it has all these other like netconf XML stuff in there. And what I really want is this data in here. So then there's another ordered dictionary within data. So this is how I was looking at it. And what we could do is actually get rid of the first two. So we'll say on the NETCONF data, give me RPC reply. Let's see if this works. And from RPC reply, give me data. So then if we print that out, it should only give me the ordered dictionary under data, right? That's what I'm assuming. So we'll see if this works. Did I save the file? All right. So I've taken out, you can see the difference here. Now the ordered dictionary starts with configuration. And then from configuration, there is another ordered dictionary within that in which we have, so I see ordered under configuration, I see here Junos, here's system, and there the logins is what I want, which then contains another ordered dictionary of user. All right, so I know how to filter that even further. So I will delete that because I don't need it. So I want to get a list of logins. And I'm going to call this users. And in users, I'm going to take the NETCONF data, and it's an ordered dictionary, so we're not using any library like XML dictionary anymore. So we just want to get the data we want. So from what I see here is configuration. So the ordered dictionary will take that first key there, configuration. And within configuration, I want to pull out system. And within system, I want user to give me a list of users. So this should just give us everything that's in users. Should work, right? Let's try. And I know there's probably a more efficient way of doing this, but this is how I'm trying to learn it. So we got an error. Key should be login, not user. I went too far. Under system, we want login. Configuration, system, login. And then actually we could go deeper and then just pull out user. Right, so then it should only give me like this output here of the users. All right, let's try it again. There you go. All right, so now I just have an ordered dictionary of all the logins on my switch, right? So now I could actually use a for loop on that. And so we want to print a list of users. And let's just say the class, right? Whoa, what just happened? I must have clicked on one of those auto add things. All right, so I'll use a for loop for user in users. We want to print something like user, and we'll use a format string, has class permission, and then whatever their class is. And then dot format, we'll hit enter there, and we'll pull out of, should I use users? This is where I forget my Python. And if I'm incorrect, let me know. I'm going to pull name because that's what I want, name. No, for user in users. So I want user. we're going to pull out of that order dictionary the name, which is going to go here, and it'll pull out that value of name, which should be my name, Dave, and NetConf, right? And then we also want to pull out the permission, the class. So user, I think it's class. Yeah, class. That should be it, right? So we'll save. Let's hope this works. All right, look at that. That worked out really well. So now I've pulled out using NetConf and RPC operations. User OL has class permission super user. This user has class permission read only, and NetConf has class permission super user. All good. That's everything I wanted to do in this lab. Ran into some syntax errors, but you can see with this script, I used these libraries. I ended up creating a filter because we had pulled the whole running config, and then I would have had to use a much longer string here to grab all the configuration we wanted. We use the NetConf client library to connect, which by default used SSH, and ran this RPC operation of get config, and we are pulling the running configuration, but we applied a filter to it to only give us the login information. And then since it was an XML format, we use XML to dictionary to parse through that and only give us what is contained under the root RPC reply and data, and create a dictionary that Python could use, an ordered dictionary, and we added that into NetConf data. From NetConf data, I wanted to create a list of those logins. So with NetConf data, we within the ordered dictionary, I said pull out this key, go down configuration, system, login, and user, and add that into users, and it became a list. And you can actually see what it is by doing print type users. It should show it as a list, and then I'll comment this out. So if we look at that class list right there, so it's a list, and then with that list we ran a for loop to iterate over everything in that list and give me the name and its class. So I did learn last night too that there was a different way of doing this, and I think I want to try it. Okay, so we've got this demo. I will comment this out because I'm going to try something different. So I'm going a little extra here, but we were able to do what I wanted to do in this lab. But I know that, let me go here to NetConf client. I was looking at the operations, and Juniper, there's a Juniper operation here in which there's Cisco as well and all these other vendors, but you could do Juniper specific operations. And I'm looking at this, okay, like there's a get configuration, load configuration, all these different classes. And then I notice this class command here. And so we could try to issue just the command, which would make this a lot more easier. So if I did netconf reply equals, make that connection. And instead of get config, it's command. So I've never tried this before. We're going to see if it works. Show configuration login, I think is what it is. We might have to go back into SSH and to confirm. Show configuration system login, I think is what it is. All right. Show configuration system login. Would that actually work? I don't know. Let me comment out a lot of stuff. No, let's just go with it. Let's do it live. Let's do it live. Will it work? No, it didn't. I'm missing a package. Show configuration. Invalid tag name. Show configuration system login. Extra sub element. Actually, I think I forgot something. I forgot to tell it that we have to include the device parameters equals Junos, I think it is. Yeah. Name Junos. Actually, I have to type it in that way. Name Junos. This is an example of using the command name colon Junos and close that. Oh, and then I have all these. Oh, man. It didn't like that, but something did work. You did see that, right? All it did was say there's no object. The object has no attribute XML. So it came back with nothing. All right. So I want to print out that reply. What does it look like? So it actually is XML. I've actually just used the command. I think that's a lot more easier than using this right here, right? So what I ended up doing was adding device parameters named Junos, and instead of get config, I actually just sent a command, show configuration system login, applied the output, or made sure the output goes into NetConf reply, and then printed that out, and it gave me, this is what it looks like in RPC. It's XML. All right, so now, what is it just XML? What's the type? .xml, NCE element. So what can I do with that? Let's see. Can I parse that at all? RPC reply. I don't know what to do with it at this point. So I'm looking at some code example from NetConf client from their GitHub page. They have this command Juniper, but they do it differently. And they're just getting, they're using a function. But I think I do have an example somewhere here. No, I don't have one. No, it's over here. So I came across this site which talks about using Python API with Juniper and NetConf. And so it's showing you that you could do a lot of things here. Thanks for hopping on, Mike. Really appreciate it. And it gives us the output in an XML structure. And so now they're just issuing a command. Oh, but they're doing a format text. I think that would be useful. This right here. So right where I have this command, can you do a format? Is it in quotes or anything? Yeah. So now if I go back to iTerm, and it didn't like that because I still have this. But I do want to see the type. Should it be text? Will it change the type? Still the same. But now it's in text. So I should be able to use that somehow, right? So we're looking through, oh, he's just doing print result, which is what I did. Then he's using XPath. Yeah, I'll have to look into this more. This other way is a little bit different, but I like that you could just issue a command and get the format. Maybe we can do XML. And run that. Okay. I think that's what the output was before. Yeah. But then I was running, parsing it, NETCONF reply, but our reply says RPC reply, but there's no data. So then it's just configuration information. I don't like how it goes to the end there. Has no attribute XML. All right, well, I have to figure that out. But at least I was able to make it work with the original way that I learned it. So now I got to learn the more efficient way of doing it. So I did learn you can just send the command instead of getting the whole running config and applying a filter. You can just show the exact output and then be able to print out that information in a for loop. So that's my next task, is figuring out how to make this script a little bit more efficient. We can pull out, I've screwed this up now. I'll figure it out. I'll fix it. Oh, yeah, I'll fix it. But I figured out that we could make this more efficient through the use of just using the command to show the configuration of exactly what we need, and then be able to parse it, get a list of whatever we need, but then to make it more efficient, use that show configuration command or show commands, and then maybe use some functions to make this a little bit neater. Well, that's all I had for this live stream. I want to thank you for joining me. It was quite an experience going through the NETCONF portion of it, but it's a good start. And if you guys have any questions or any comments you want to include, please leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. If you liked it, give me a like on the YouTube video and subscribe to see more videos like this. And tomorrow is day 7 of my live stream, the final day of going live 7 days straight. And we'll see if I should continue this or not, but I've got to come up with a topic, and maybe it is working more with my Python script. But there we go. That's all I have. Thank you guys for joining.